Nebraska, Pretend Sports coming to you shortly after Nebraska. 22 ranked Nebraska going down against number 24 ranked Illinois. Soon to be ranked a little bit higher. Nebraska, soon to be lower.
They'll be unranked.
Jacob, what do you just summarize in 3 words or less Nebraska's performance against Illinois?
Defensively, very poor. They, after allowing...
I think that's more than 3 words.
Oh, literally just 3 words? Oh, you just wanted 3 words.
But you keep going. Defensively, they played bad.
I think three words is good because basically, like, it was just traumatically disappointing, sad. Because
so as usual, like as always with Nebraska.
Well, yeah, but the thing is I've watched like this team disappoint me and all the other fans, but in like excruciating ways for the last 8 years, right? They're always like on the cusp. We almost beat like a ranked Michigan team by 3. They give you just enough to keep thinking that like they're right on the verge of being good, and then they disappoint you. That's been going on for so long. So then this year, it actually felt like it wasn't like a fraud because we have like a 5-star quarterback. He's playing pretty good. Our defense has allowed 20 points through 3 games, right? So then when this happens, the same thing that happens every year, basically, for the last 8 years, we lose a game excruciatingly. In overtime, by the way. Nebraska has not scored in an overtime game since 2014 when Kenny Bell caught an overtime pass to beat Iowa in Bo Pelini's last game as the Nebraska Cornhuskers football coach. We then fired him after he went 8-4 and just won an overtime game against our biggest rival. And I think we're cursed now because we have not scored in 8 straight overtime games in 10 years.
So then why did you think, what led you to be so confident this year? It's Dylan Raiola, the true freshman.
Mostly Dylan Raiola, because Nebraska has always felt a quarterback away. We never had a quarterback who could throw a football.
And to be fair, Dylan Raiola played great. I think that there were some moments, some growing pains that had to be had at some point or another, and that were unfortunately they incurred during a game that ended up being pretty tight.
I think
there were some mistakes.
I think the pressure actually got to him at the end when he dropped, just inexplicably dropped the ball twice in 3 plays in the 4th quarter. I was like, I've never seen that. Was his freshman moment. No one's really seen this guy crack yet.
And before the game, and people were wondering too, like how they would react against like a quote unquote like real team, like an actually good, competent opponent.
Hey, Colorado beat Baylor.
And from that, and in that regard, it's like Illinois' game plan. They outcoached Nebraska up and down the field just the entire game. It seemed like all their play calls on offense were just the perfect play call.
Yep.
Like it seemed it seemed like they were just one step ahead of Nebraska.
They averaged 6 yards a carry.
And do you think like there was a component of it where like Nebraska potentially overlooked Illinois and we're already looking ahead to like Ohio State or like USC?
Personally,
because I feel like from my perspective, like my sort of like objective perspective, like the hype train was so big after Nebraska beat who exactly? Colorado and
that's it.
UTEP.
Well, yeah, but I mean, really, they beat Colorado is the reason.
So there was a big hype train, right? And there was a lot of expectations. So I wonder, it was sort of like how much of that played into like how big of a disappointment this was, and maybe there was too much pressure, right? Where it's like things started getting tight.
All of the talking heads were saying like Nebraska 7-0, Nebraska 7-0. They were just parroting it. Everyone, even like non-Nebraska fans. These are just like, Rich Eisling and shit.
They look good. Yeah, they look
saying
good.
It. I think it's because the media wants it, probably. But I don't know. I personally don't think they looked ahead. This is I mean, there might have been a lot of distractions. It was also the 400th consecutive sellout game, if you're not aware of that. And there's a lot of like festivities that I'm sure were going on during the game and even like leading up to it. It's on a Friday night. They had a short week.
So you don't think they could have potentially gotten caught up in that? Because it seemed like, from my perspective, it just seemed like Illinois took this more seriously. They had a game plan that they executed really well. They made good adjustments. They stayed in the game. They're definitely under-talented. They weren't the more talented team. They had solid players.
Yeah.
Not as talented.
But on the line, it seems like
there was critical moments where they had the right call, such as what we're watching right now, where they just seemed to have the right call every time. Right? In every situation possible, where it seemed like Nebraska sometimes was out of sorts. Like it seemed like there was some sort of like a lack of a flow to how they were moving the ball, especially in the critical situations too, where it seemed like it was like 50-50. You weren't really sure what was going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I don't really, the offense could have done better, but really, I think the problem is that the offense never had a chance to get in the groove because the defense would just let them convert third down after third down after third down. If you keep taking 3 downs to get 10 yards, you're on the field fucking forever.
Yeah, Illinois is really controlling the game with their.
They kept, even if we got into like a 3rd and 8, they'd complete a pass where the closest cornerback or DB is like 4 yards away.
Just had them completely.
It'd be like, how is he wide open?
But then again, though, I feel like there were some critical moments of the game where Illinois would come through and Nebraska would not. You know, like there was like big plays where like there'd be a sack or something like that, or like Illinois' defense would hold. Like, and I feel like all this considered, there was one moment towards the end of the game where Nebraska had the ball. What was the 10 or something like that, like in the red zone, and it was a 3rd and 3.
No, they were on the like 20-yard line. It was 3rd and 3.
3rd and 3, and
this is at the end of the game. This is Nebraska's
Matt
last
Rule
possession.
Elects to call a pass play, sort of a gadget play, one of those gotcha plays where you throw it to a fullback, basically coming on a fucking post route.
Yeah,
damn near. Lo and behold, a play that's probably not practiced a lot, doesn't go well. Fucking receiver and quarterback aren't in sync because they don't practice it. So instead of running the ball on 3rd and 3, and maybe even going for it on 4th down, right?
Which they should have.
You have opportunity to go up 2 scores.
Regardless of the 3rd down call. Regardless of the 3rd down call, they should have.
Right. So what happens next?
Well, but also the guy you threw it to on 3rd and 3, he's caught 1 pass ever.
Right. So you're not even going to your go-to guys in the clutch situation.
So they don't get it and they kick a field goal. Now, but if you haven't what?
Oh yeah, go ahead.
If you haven't been paying attention, Nebraska can't kick field goals.
You got a backup kicker, right?
10
so here's where there's these things where there's games that are this close where you're in opportunity. Despite everything, the kids played well. You're in opportunity to go ahead, right? So
this is
you got a backup kicker. You have a backup kicker. Right, who you probably don't want to put too much pressure on because college kickers are already shaky enough.
Yeah.
It's 3rd and 3. You're on the 20-yard line. Okay. You could do the gadget play, whatever, but at least go for it on 4th down. And here we're seeing it right now. Here's a field goal.
It's a 39-yard field goal from the left hash. And of course he's going to miss that.
Of course you're going to miss that.
Our starting field goal kicker would miss that.
Of course you're going to miss that. So then that was your opportunity to go ahead at least 3 and kind of ice the game. And
there you go.
You fucking blew it.
No, we can just pause.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, of course you see.
Good seeing you. Have a good Tuesday. Don't let one of these chicks
Good day tomorrow. Let's get that money.
Hell yeah, man.
Hey, you know? Hey. Gotta hit the ground running, you know?
Good thing.
Get that cold shower in, hit the ground running.
After a night of Sunday football, that money dog coming up.
Keep your head on a swivel. Get out with
All right, so then, where do we go from here? Where does Nebraska go from here?
Okay, well,
what's the path forward?
So then let me just. It goes to overtime.
What do they need to do to get to this? They go to overtime.
It goes to overtime, and at that point, like the pressure is very, very high, and for all the 4-year and for all the 4-year seniors, which is a big reason that this team is supposed to be like so good, have experienced. I'm gonna just guess 3 overtimes. So then they go to overtime, right? And
yes,
the second they go to overtime, obviously we have a true freshman quarterback. All this other stuff is the pressure is on because the expectations are high at this point. And now it's like, oh shit, we're in overtime against Illinois on our 4th consecutive sellout, a milestone where like in the past they've never lost on this game. So. And if you look at like the 5th-year seniors, the 6th-year seniors, whatever, those guys have experienced 3 overtime losses. I just looked it up, and I've watched all of them. And every single one of those overtime losses, the other team scores extremely easily, like right away, just like you saw in this game.
Yep.
And then all 3 of those games ended with a pick on offense.
What?
Every single one of them.
Jeez.
Last year against Wisconsin, they easily scored through a pick. 2 years before that, we played Michigan State after fucking punting it to the wrong side of the field. They tied it, and then they scored very easily, and Adrian Martinez threw a 2-yard slant, got picked off. what has happened in this game, they run it on the first play and they get like 21 fucking yards. They get 21 fucking yards. So now they're on the 4-yard line. It's 1st and 10.
They scored in 2 plays.
And this is a team in Illinois that they average 6 yards a carry on first down. It's 1st and goal on the 4.
And the best part is they scored on like power pass right. Like split 2 wide banana type shit. Like it was
like basic ass shit.
Yeah. It was just like
all right. So now Nebraska gets the ball, right?
It's the most like elementary like shit.
Nebraska gets he's so fucking wide open, Jesus Christ. So then Nebraska gets the ball, right? We got Raiola. There's already been a false start, so it's 1st and 15. All right, let's no fucking protection, holds on to the ball too long. Now we got like 2nd and 30.
Well, that's a use showing, you know. You gotta live to see another down.
For sure.
Like, you take a sack, you take a sack like that.
2nd and 24.
Now the game's over basically.
And
now
this is
for
horrible.
a miracle.
Like, what are you doing here? What the fuck? This is what I would do in college football 25.
Man, that's brutal.
This is me playing a video game.
That's a brutal
what is that?
fucking.
So now, like, take a screenshot of this. 3rd and 42 coming up, I believe.
3rd and
42. Yep. Take a screen cap of this. We're on our own side of the 50-yard line in overtime. Like, this isn't the NFL. It ends
even perfectly too, where he gets sacked again, right? Does he get sacked?
I think
again?
he throws it, but it's like a little dip off, and then I think on the 4th
there's one
down,
more play. Yeah, there's a 4th down, and it's
so now
so
it's 4th and 34
like, it's so
or
pathetic
something.
too, because of just like the sound of the crowd is just dead silent.
Yeah,
like,
of course, dude. They're stunned.
It's so awkward.
It's so awkward. They were stunned. I was stunned. I was at home. Like, this is Friday night. People in Nebraska, they love high school football, so they forewin
just
high school
no
football
resistance
to watch this game. Man. So, anyways, why I say like it was traumatic is because this year it felt like we had exercised our demons. Like Nebraska has exercised this whole like losing all these close games, like not being able to handle the pressure.
Like, what would make you feel that way?
The Colorado game. And I know Colorado, I should talk them. I don't think they're very good. It was more about like how big that moment was. And in the past, we crumble under pressure every single time.
Yeah, that's fair. They did they did really take it to Colorado.
We usually
have very sound.
It was 28-0 at halftime, okay? And there was a a lot of flags in the second half.
You know, it was pretty it
could have very easily been 42-10. Cool. Yeah. Like they played the whatever. They had already won the game at halftime.
Man, their game against Baylor was fucking great.
Yeah, it was cool, except
really
the
great.
fact that Colorado.
So
won,
anyway, so where does Nebraska go from here, Jacob? Like, what's next?
Well, so the hype train is slowed
What's
down,
their path forward though? Like, how do they get out of this? How do they save their season?
I think the path forward is to remember, like preseason. I don't know about what the team was thinking, but preseason, what people's hopes were, right? And were the hopes to like go to the playoffs? No, anyone like preseason saying that would have been like, you're fucking crazy. Now they let the hype get to them very, very quickly, including myself. But before the season started, making a bowl game would have pleased a lot of people.
Hey, it's not off the table.
In my opinion, 9 games was like the expectation. I thought we should win 9 games just because we have a 5-star quarterback. And if you watch the team last year, our quarterback play, we lost 5 games by 3 points. There was 17 turnovers by the quarterback in those 5 games.
You know, I think we'll see who they play next.
They play Purdue at Purdue after they got walloped by fucking Notre Dame.
So we'll see how they respond. And I feel like that's going to be a key indicator of how we think the rest of the season is going to go. Because I feel like every season has like its own narrative to it and its own challenges. And I think most players will tell you that how you respond to a lot of those is largely going to define like how the rest of your season goes.
Yeah.
So if they crumble, they start pointing fingers. You know, they start like not believing in like the staff, coaching, the whatever.
Yeah.
Then it'll materialize that way. But if they can stick together. That's usually my advice to some of the younger players. You know, it's just like you guys got to stay together. You can't start pointing fingers. You gotta ride this out. And maybe if they blow up Purdue, then you're kind of back on track, right?
And one thing is you say this about preseason rankings. We don't actually know how good any of these teams are. So maybe Illinois is really good. I don't think they're as good as I would have thought Nebraska is. So that means Nebraska must be worse. But maybe they're just fucking sick. I don't know.
I think so. Nebraska has more star power for sure.
Yeah.
I think Illinois has great players for their system. Like whatever they're trying to do is great. Their quarterback was pretty solid.
He was solid. He looks like a goober, but goddamn, he was very, very good that night.
Their defensive backs were really good. their defensive line was surprisingly good. Surprisingly.
So
good.
actually,
Like,
that's the
there was
most-
plays where the Nebraska back would get the handoff and run into a wall.
Yeah.
Like 0
ton.
yards.
Yeah.
0.
And we're talking Dante Dowdell
against the Nebraska Cornhuskers got 0 yards on a rushing play against Illinois.
And what are some of the formations they lined up under?
They had these beautiful, like old school football, like double tights,
Yeah.
double wide, single back, just like perfection, beautifully balanced.
And how many yards would they get?
Great. Nebraska would come out in these beautiful formation, and every time they would use that formation, they'd get stuffed.
0 yards. But see, that's actually the most concerning thing. Is it's great because the thing is, usually these games, like these close games, we lose because Nebraska lost. They beat themselves. This game, it felt like we thoroughly got beat by Illinois. There wasn't really that many big gaffes or other things. So that's a little concerning. And something that Brett Bielema said in the post-game interview was that he was like, yeah, we just thought that our line could overpower them and tire them out over the course of the game. And that's exactly what they did. And that's what a lot of Big Ten team strategies are. And it worked. So that's a little bit concerning.
Their strategy, they tried to overpower.
They just have, like, Big Ten teams have big lines.
Yeah.
And we just saw the first one, and our team crumbled underneath it. And we're
I
going to be
see.
playing Big Ten teams all fucking year.
Yeah.
So that's a little concerning.
Yep.
You know, like Colorado, none of the teams we played yet have the lines that are in the Big Ten.
Yeah. So how many games can Nebraska afford to lose from here on out?
For me,
Yeah.
I think they can lose 2. But
2 total or 2 more?
2 more. But in my opinion, that means that one of our wins has to be Ohio State. Not going to happen. Or USC.
Shit. Oh,
You cannot go 9-3 with only wins crumbling under any actual good opponent, because you know what that leaves you with? Bo Pelini era. We fired that guy. That'd be much better than the last 8 years. But the whole point of firing that guy and going through that is to rise above it. So if you just go 9-3 again with your best win being over like Wisconsin in a bad year, that's like really, to me, that's not really acceptable with a 5-star quarterback. And
You don't think
9-3?
9-3? But he's a true freshman.
True freshman, but
Yeah, keep that in mind.
the average age of this team is 22 and a half years old.
But the age of their quarterback's 18.
But the quarterback hasn't really been making that many mistakes, to be honest.
Yeah. You know who made a
There's that
mistake?
one
Well,
drive.
that's the thing is like, I'm very hesitant in this, particularly with this game with Nebraska and Illinois, to blame any of the Nebraska players.
Yeah, the coaches,
I think they played pretty
scheme-wise.
well. I think they played pretty well. I saw their DBs make some really savvy decisions on crossing routes.
Yeah.
They switched coverages super well. They passed off receivers really well. I thought the linebackers were really disappointing. I feel like their linebackers were like the big flaw. The middle passing lanes are always wide open. You'd have linebackers who were indecisive when they were diagnosing the play. They took too long to diagnose the plays where they'd be stuck in no man's land.
Yep.
The play would be going, they'd just be standing there figuring out what's going on still.
So that's a little player execution,
which is
right?
how you get run on too, is that they couldn't, they Illinois go on these long drives running the ball so well, and it's because the linebackers weren't fitting. They were filling their gaps well. They took too long to fit their gaps, and they'd be stuck. Not sure if it's a pass or a run. They couldn't diagnose. They weren't reading their keys. They're stuck on their back heels now. You got a fullback coming right at you. It's going to happen. But I feel like despite all that, they were in a position to win. And if the coaching staff was, not trying to get cute with football games and realize that if it's 3rd and 3 and you're on the 20-yard line, your probably best option is to run. If you cannot get 3 yards in 2 plays against another team, then you're not better than them.
Yeah.
Like on the ground. I feel like I've heard one of my really good friends who played at Narbonne in LA, which is like they won at least one state championship. They he was just like he loves 4th and 1. He's like, because it's just one of those things where it's like, are you better than them or not?
Yeah.
And it's one of those things. It's just like, there's no 2 ways about this. Like, it's going to get settled here now.
This is what they were talking about.
Or play action or something.
This is late 4th quarter. And I think the Nebraska, just to try to give them a little bit of credit in that situation, I think the Nebraska coaches knew at that point, like, they are better than us. We are not able to get to 3 yards on 2 plays. We saw that.
No, because early on that drive, they were running the ball well, I think. I feel like Nebraska got into exactly what you were saying when they were, the Illinois defensive line was getting a little tired. Like, you started seeing more runs of 4
It
yards.
was kind of a long play too.
4
or a long
yards,
drive,
5
too.
yards,
Yeah.
4 yards, 5 yards here, 3 yards, 2.
So
You know what I'm
this-
saying?
I
So
guess
it's
this,
like
this is still early to like be making these calls, but this game does concern me, or it makes me think like everyone's very high on Matt Rule, myself included, and maybe he's exactly what like this dumpster fire of a team needed. But I'm wondering, like, is this a guy who's able to lead a group of like good players to being like a great team, or is he a good like floor raiser? You know.
I think,
And
yeah.
it might be the second one. We don't know. Because, like, actually, I was listening to some podcasts before the game, and they were talking about, like, they're going through Matt Rule's, like, history against ranked teams because this is a ranked, and Nebraska has
like
won
2-8 or something like that.
It's not great.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know, maybe, so he had great records those last 2 seasons at Temple, but who the fuck does Temple play? No one. Who the fuck did Baylor play? I don't know. The Big 12 was pretty shitty for a couple of years there. And they probably just played Texas and Oklahoma, you know?
Hey, you know me.
So I hope he's really good, but I'm a little bit worried.
You know, I've been skeptical of Matt Rule for a while.
Yeah,
I just don't like his energy. I don't feel like he has it, and it's showing. I mean, if you're losing to ranked opponents that well, it just shows that like you just don't. There's something about preparation and game planning that you just don't got.
This is the first time.
So it depends on how humble he can be to refine his game.
This is kind of a big moment because this is the first time that something has happened, and there might be a reason to blame Matt Rule for it. Because last year was a wash. He was just making something out of a really shit situation that he was left over with, right?
He was just doing surprise onside kicks.
Yeah. So then this is his first, exactly, that I saw in person.
That wasn't his fault?
I went all the way.
That
was Scott Frost.
Oh, it was?
This guy's it's only his second year.
Oh, wow.
And that was in 20.
I've known you for a lot of Nebraska disappointment then.
Yeah. So so last year, like basically all fans were just like, I mean, we started 5-2. Like, we were losing 3 or 4 games before that a year. So like the bar was low. It's kind of like you have this year to like figure shit out, and then next year we expect you to be better.
Yeah.
And now there's so much hype, and just based on how the game went, it's very plausible that like we got outcoached, and that's very concerning because he hires his entire staff.
It's not just possible; it's very apparent.
Yeah, right. He hires all these,
and the efficiency in which, again, like I feel like if you can even tell in the overtime where Illinois looked prepared for overtime and composed and went about their business, and Nebraska from like the first snap looks sort of just discombobulated. Like they weren't prepared to be in the situation almost.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm saying.
Maybe
I'm not wondering.
Adjust.
I don't think the players were overlooking them. Maybe just everybody sort of was. It just didn't seem like they were as prepared.
I think I don't think they're overlooking them because I think that's actually like Matt Rule's strength. His strength is like basically keeping the focus, but not
his strength is losing to ranked opponents.
But yeah, I know, but that's what I'm saying is that like
and
like,
against
good teams, that's not enough. You also need like the scheming. You need the fucking preparation, like because of the scheme. If you're practicing a scheme all week, you can't just adjust that shit mid game and like have it work as well as it should.
Yeah.
Right. So like once they started the game, they were kind of fucked.
It was like, honestly, like anyone just look up the highlights of this game, and Illinois' offensive coordinator was on some Neo shit, bro. I straight like this motherfucker was in the zone.
Yeah.
They were in Nebraska's head.
In their head. They knew exactly what we were going to.
Uncanny, their play calling. However, so what do you think Nebraska's chances against USC are this year? Now that you've seen USC take a tough loss against Michigan on the road at the Big House, you've seen Nebraska lose at home.
I've seen much worse overall Nebraska teams compete, not every year, but sometimes compete with Ohio State. It happens sometimes. So I don't know. They could beat you. I don't know. I kind of want to see more games against Big Ten teams now because everything I'm saying, it's kind of contingent. Like, we don't know what's going to happen. We don't actually know how good Illinois is. Maybe the coaches will be able to properly adjust. It's just like the first moment where I'm like a little bit concerned that shit might be way less sweet than I thought it was, instead of just like slightly less sweet, you know?
Ohio State hasn't played anyone this year.
No, they have not.
They've just been eviscerating the likes of Akron, Western Michigan, and Marshall.
So do I think Nebraska's going to go into...
They don't have any game that is worth anything, in my opinion, until... Well, they got Iowa, so, you know.
Nebraska's not going to go into the horseshoe and, like, beat Ohio State. This is not going to happen.
They got Oregon,
But,
Ohio State, Oregon,
yeah,
October
they're coming
12th.
up.
They got Nebraska the week after that.
Oh, okay, that's good. That helps us a little bit. But
And
I'm glad that
they got
Ohio
Penn State after that. So Ohio State goes
Damn,
on
that's
a
a
run.
big run.
They go through a gauntlet.
I'm
yeah.
glad that game though is before USC, because I think USC is more winnable, and the Ohio State game will prepare them for like a big moment,
Yeah.
like against a really good team.
It's tough. It's tough to tell how good USC was because
tough.
I don't think anybody. I mean, people thought that they would be competitive, but like, who did anyone really think that they were going to go into the big house, like
And win?
basically a primetime game and win?
Everyone thought USC was going to win that game.
I didn't.
Well, I'm saying like in like the college football media, whatever.
Oh yeah. It's because Michigan got eviscerated by Texas.
The
right?
betting line,
So,
and then the way the betting line moved,
yeah.
it opened at -3 and closed at -6.5 for USC.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I'll say like
everyone
I'm more
thought.
like I'm not surprised that USC lost a close game because like it's just such a tough
Yeah,
environment
for sure.
there.
But I think the problem
the
is
stadium capacity is 100,000 people. You think
Yeah,
anybody
no,
flew up
for
from
sure.
fucking California to Ann Arbor?
Yeah.
Probably
Dude, I think
not.
the main reason is because Texas just made them look so bad. But the thing is people are missing is that Texas is going to do that to a lot of good teams this year.
Texas is really good.
So that's not really fair to like.
All you Texas haters, you better start reconciling your feelings now. These guys are legit.
When Georgia plays at Texas on I believe it's October 5th, they might
shock the world.
They might shock the world, man. They might
blow out
fuck up Georgia.
They might blow out
It's
Georgia.
possible.
Let's see if Georgia mysteriously. Let's see if Quinn Ewers mysteriously goes down early in the first quarter.
No, actually, oh yeah, true. Actually,
Arch Manning has to come in.
Their coach said before.
They got a movie deal already in the works for this story, folks.
Their coach said that before the game yesterday that Arch Manning could go 100 for 100 and score 50 touchdowns, and Quinn Ewers will still
somebody said
return. Their head coach did. Now he might be just lying, but he did.
You gotta
say
play
that.
the PR game.
He didn't have to say that.
But Quinn Ewers is fine. Yeah, I feel like you keep.
I feel like he kind of has to do that for like recruiting sake.
It's
honestly.
like, oh yeah, there's like a PR component to it. I think you have to. It's just better for continuity. It's like you got Quinn Ewers. It's like let's steady the ship here. Let's be like, okay, it's great to know that Arch is fucking legit.
Yeah.
And
you'll play next
we have
year.
a bright future ahead of us.
Yeah.
That's good enough for now.
Let me close out the Nebraska thing just real quick. So basically, we were all really, really high on our own supply, myself included, and this is a necessary dose of reality, and we'll see how they look against Purdue next week. All right.
Some of these losses can be really good growth opportunities.
True,
so
for sure.
we'll see.
All right. How about the professionals?
So yeah, the 49ers played, this game against the Rams that they had today. It's the first divisional game of the year. It was kind of funky. There's a lot of injuries on both sides. So you got Christian McCaffrey injured, George Kittle injured, Deebo Samuel injured. You got Trent Williams and Brandon Ayuk, who both they skipped training camp, so they're fucking out of shape.
Oh, I didn't know Trent Williams.
So they seem a little bit out of sorts too, right? And I mean, honestly, man, I just think that, and I was saying this last year, I felt like last year was their year. Everything's supposed to come together, and it did, right? But Kyle Shanahan, again, as a coach, just can't get out of his own fucking way in clutch moments, especially in Super Bowls as a play caller. It happens.
Wait, so you think the play calling fucked up this game?
No. I was talking about the Super Bowl.
So what happened? Well, I guess we're watching it, but like they were up 14 to what was it, 3 at halftime?
14-3. Yeah, they playing pretty good, honestly. Jawan Jennings having a fantastic game. He's basically the number one receiver today because again, no George Kittle, no Deebo Samuel. Brandon Ayuk's kind of like out of shape.
But even with that, I feel like they should have been worried because they were up 14-0 after they had the ball, scored. LA 3 and out, had the ball, scored. And then they didn't score again that half.
I stopped watching for a while, and then I thought
you
it was
figured it'd be a
wrapped up.
blowout, yeah.
I came back and I was like, what the fuck? So then what ended up happening was that Matt Stafford is just really good, man.
He's just sick as hell.
He just had a lot of good savvy. I feel like his savvy and his wisdom came through and just a lot of really good plays where I felt like there's a lot of pressure. He had a lot of heat on him, and there were so many throws that he made that I know younger quarterbacks would have just completely buckled.
It's crazy watching him and then watching Purdy because they're different. Purdy is so like robotic, whereas Stafford just like looks like he's that dude.
Well, he's seen every situation ever. So like whenever something would happen, there'd be a near sack, a play would get blown up.
Right.
He would know what to do, and it would be so automatic. So it was it was pretty cool to see.
Well, there's that too, but I feel like his like how he maneuvers in the pocket, it feels more natural. It's just part, like he just knows what to do. Whereas like with Purdy, it feels like a learned thing. But it's like when you just fucking know, I don't know. Stafford just looks like
it's because you have experience,
right? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So basically, Stafford won them the game.
Well, I feel like he was a big part of it. Yeah. The rally back. But no, I think the Niners all still, despite everything, they had it won. But they were the victim of 2 plays down the stretch by players they drafted, I think, last year. So at first you had a route to Ronnie Bell from Michigan, wide open on a potentially game-winning drive from the Niners, and he drops it. And that was like Ronnie Bell's second drop of the game. It's one of those things where like Ronnie Bell is not even in this game. That's Deebo Samuel typically, right? In any other scenario. But Ronnie Bell had to be in, and it sucks because again, I just feel like Ronnie Bell's got the yips. Like he just can't catch. I don't know what the fuck happened to him. He was solid at Michigan. He was solid his first year at the Niners, and just something fucking happened to him where he just sucks ass now and he can't catch dog shit. I think he should be cut from the team immediately because there's just no excuse for that type of play. Like you lost them the game, and who knows what's going to happen now after that.
Cut from the team. Didn't Saquon Barkley do that last week? The same exact thing. He lost the game because he dropped a ball.
Saquon Barkley. Right, he has other value that he consistently gives and delivers.
Ronnie Bell is not.
You take the good with the bad. Ronnie Bell, what he did today was he dropped 2 passes.
True.
Get the fuck off the team, bro.
I could have done that.
Get the fuck out of here. Like, what the fuck? What kind of bullshit is
that?
So
basically, you're saying that the Rams' depth was in the end turned out to be better than the Niners' depth.
Well, I guess they're B players. Yeah, they're like B players. And again, Matthew Stafford. I think Brock Purdy.
Yeah, because the Rams aren't paying fucking George Kittle, Deebo Samuels, Brandon Ayuk. They're not fucking Christian McCaffrey.
Like, I mean, they got a lot of. Yeah, you're right. They got some dead cap space, but yeah, the Niners again. It's one of those things where like the.
Oh, look at that.
That's why I always say that last year was the year, because what happened this year, right? You win the Super Bowl, everyone's happy, everyone's down to come back. You lose a Super Bowl because Christian McCaffrey fumbles in the opening drives, which in my opinion will always be the main reason why the Niners lost the Super Bowl, was because Christian McCaffrey can't fucking hold on to the goddamn football.
I don't know. Kyle Shanahan has shown he can have a bigger lead and still lose, so it's possible they still lose.
Yeah, well, you're definitely going to lose if you fumble the opening drive.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
And that's what happened. That actually happened 3 times last year with the Niners, where Christian McCaffrey fumbled an opening fumble, or he fumbled the ball on the opening drive, and the Niners lost every one of those games.
Oh my God. Just don't hand it off to him on the opening drive.
Yeah, right. Give it Jordan Mason or something. But whatever, that's from the point. The point is, you lose the Super Bowl, people start getting greedy. People start thinking about what's in it for me. People start holding out of training camp, right? Mm-hmm. They want to negotiate, but one of their negotiation chips is to not be at training camp. So then what happens? They're not in shape, more likely to get injured. They're more likely to be out of sync, slow starts. You have a team that has different players coming, like a revolving door of players in the beginning of the season. You don't tell people that Christian McCaffrey is going to be on IR. So now you have a PR fiasco come up where it's like you're hiding an injury from one of your players, right? You get George Kittle, who's mysteriously injured now. It's like, what did Kyle Shanahan just fucking get all of his boys paid and then just said like,
chill.
Now you guys he probably knew they were injured, but he just got them paid. You know what I mean? Like, is there like something going on there?
I see.
Like, I don't know what the fuck's going on, but I know that like now people are just more in it for themselves. We're seeing the dysfunction. We're seeing the lack of like, it just doesn't seem like this year, like there's like a flow, like there's gel going on.
For sure. I mean, if they're legitimately injured, okay, but like to have 3 guys out a week 3 into the season, that kind of implies that people are like kind of down to accept it. Like, I'm not saying you got to play through injuries, but like I'm sure Deebo Samuel in the past has played through whatever he's going through right now.
Well, and I think a big part of it too that's probably overlooked is that like these guys have had long seasons.
Yeah.
For 5 years now.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's what I'm saying. And I feel like this year I'm willing to be wrong, but I feel like the Niners window's definitely closed. I think last year was the year. Again, they had everything they needed. They just needed to beat the Chiefs.
Okay, as someone who's like, because you're passionate about the Niners, I want them to win too, but I'm like new to it, so I'm not as like emotionally charged about it. From an outsider's perspective, sort of, I think they'll probably still make the playoffs and they'll have a shot to win a wild card game. And then from there, anything can happen.
You're not wrong. Yeah, you're not wrong.
So it's just not as sure of a thing as in the past.
I just think their cracks are starting to show. I think Brock Purdy's physical limitations are starting to show. Like, granted, Brock Purdy is a fucking straight dog. He had a great game, honestly.
Like his throwing ability. Like
he played a
can't throw
fantastic
deep,
game.
or what?
Well, there's two things. One, since he's short, he gets a lot of passes batted down.
Yep.
A lot.
Yep, I've noticed that.
A lot. Where people are wide open, right?
Mm-hmm.
But two, and more importantly, since he seems to have like small hands or like a weak grip. But he fumbled 2 times in this game.
Really?
He gave, there's 2 Brock Purdy fumbles.
And you just picked, what happened? Did he pick it up or have to fall on it?
He was, just like the lightest touch sort of got the ball like knocked loose or something like that. And the ball sometimes just slips out of his hands. It happened last week. Where,
I relate. I kind of have
like,
for my height, I have kind of small hands, so it's kind of hard for me to hold football. So I'm sure he's going through the same issue. He's like, oh.
Yeah, so it sucks, man, because it's one of those things where it's like you're a good football player, dude, but there's some just limitations. I don't know. Maybe Christian McCaffrey has small hands too because he likes to fumble so much. I mean, it just sucks, man. Where like my main criticisms of him are just coming to fruition.
Oh, look at that catch though, bro. Jennings still fucking.
Jennings had a great game. And it just sucks to see it go to waste. The upside though is that honestly, considering how many players are missing, I think they looked pretty good. Yeah,
I mean, when they're up 14-0, shit was sweet, Like,
I think there's just some bad turnovers. I think Ronnie Bell needs to never play football in his life ever again. I'm serious. Like we're gonna see this, dude. We're gonna see this fucking highlight come up. Look at Brock Purdy. Look at my boy right here. This is that's what you want. I'm telling you.
Oh my god.
Brock Purdy has everything.
That was awesome.
Besides height and big hands, and it turns out that's a.
Wait, can he throw deep? Like I don't remember. Like is he?
Yeah, bro.
So
look at that. Here he is again, dude.
So when you say physical limitations, you're just talking about like literally his hands and like his height,
like things he cannot change.
Gotcha. Like his size basically in different ways.
Yeah. Jordan Mason, I think.
Did they fumble right here?
I think so. Yeah. Jordan Mason runs really hard. But I feel like there's some times where he could be a little bit more patient with the holes developing. But who knows, man? I don't know. I don't watch this shit that close, but sometimes it just looks like he's too eager to hit.
It looks like he's jumping it before it's actually been cleared up. Yeah.
Used to watch some Le'Veon Bell, learn how to set that up.
Which one's Bell?
Le'Veon Bell played for the Steelers.
No, I'm talking. What number is Bell on the 49ers?
Ronnie Bell's number 10.
I'm gonna watch him from this other drive. But do you hate him more because he went to Michigan?
Yeah,
probably doesn't help, right?
I always thought he was like suspect. I just don't think they have good skill players.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you saw that with the game yesterday.
They have good like offensive linemen and like Aiden Hutchinson.
Yeah, they do. Some of those formations. You're talking about the formations Nebraska was in. Some of those formations Michigan was in. Yeah, it was just like 9 dudes on the line. Nice, it's fucking wild, bro. Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I want to like Michigan. I just think their fans and alums.
Oh yeah, they're
anyone associated with the University of Michigan. I find them just be very obnoxious.
Fuck Michigan. They try to claim the '97 national championship. So
yeah, bro. Nobody. That's not true. It's not real.
Yeah, no one thinks you're better than the Nebraska team.
Nobody thinks that. Nobody thinks the 1997 national champions were Nebraska besides Nebraska fans. Like I don't think anybody else thinks that.
Oh really?
I don't think anyone.
Everyone thinks Michigan, is it?
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I meant flip flop. I don't think anyone thinks it's Michigan. Everyone thinks it's Nebraska.
I was like, oh damn, maybe I've been brainwashed.
No. Everyone thinks it's Nebraska.
Yeah. Because I think they were the coaches poll too, and we were the.
So is Michigan good? Like I don't know. Like you like what
this year?
Yeah.
I think they're gonna win a lot of games. That formula will work in the Big Ten.
Word.
And it worked against USC. So
I mean, they're not as big up front.
But they clearly have a good defense.
They're bigger.
They clearly have a good defense.
Yeah.
In some form or another.
I just
it's definitely not bad.
I feel like USC
great starting point. What the fuck is he doing?
You don't want to ever say there's like a good loss, but like they hung in there.
They hung in there.
But they blew it on that last drive.
They did blow it. They blew it on that fucking pick six.
My friend had a really good.
Oh my god!
Jake Moody misses right here.
Oh my
Jake
god!
Moody. I fucking knew it. Dude.
Oh my!
This guy is a fucking waste. I think it's time to cut the cable, bro. Like I think any other kicker right now is probably better than Jake
Matthew
Moody.
Stafford's just Stafford. Yep.
Yeah,
Damn.
Matthew Stafford just fucking knew exactly.
Holy
what to
shit, dude! What a ball he just threw.
What a beautiful ball. Brock Purdy can never throw a pass like that.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like. That's what you're saying, I think, too. Yeah, man.
It was just, you just saw a difference, right? You saw
Yeah.
a difference between someone who's been there, done that, and I feel like one of the things with NFL that I'm starting to like, a theory that I'm starting to cultivate is that like you do have those people who like are able to play beyond their physical gifts, so to speak, right? Like they don't have all the measurables, but like they've been able to like brute force their way to being super good. They're not as gifted, right?
Yeah.
They're workhorses. Those people typically have success. They will have, there's occasional success. There's occasionally the ones who have success for a long time. It's very much not the norm. Like if you look over, like there's like you see with like Russell Wilson, right? Where it's just like, oh, you're just kind of like a short quarterback. Like you're really good in a very particular circumstance. They have to be in a very particular circumstance.
Yeah, like Russell Wilson.
Matthew Stafford, you can see it. It's like I was like amazed. I was like, this guy has the knowledge and the wisdom at this point of his career, and he can make all the throws. He can make all the throws.
Dude, how do you let him return
fucking physical marvel?
How do you let him return a punt there?
They return a punt?
That was wild. Well, no, like so it was 40 seconds left in the game, and 49ers are punting it to go to OT. And
I remember
he
that.
runs it to like the 40.
Also,
he
he
just lost the game
regulation?
on that. Wait, what?
I didn't know that.
And basically, like watch this. So then they punt it here, and ideally it's going to be down in the 20, and there's fucking 50 seconds left. Go to OT, right? But then this fool. Like, dude, what is that coverage?
That's terrible.
What is that coverage?
Terrible. That's a block in the back. That's terrible.
Oh, okay. Well, a block back doesn't help.
That's a bitch made play. Oh my God. They just made it so easy.
And I'm pretty sure there's a huge pass interference here coming up too. I like read the plays.
Dude, Matt Stafford was fishing for those. He was like, that's what I'm saying, bro. This fool just knew everything. It was really interesting to see that. I was like, wow, there's really is a difference.
Yeah.
You know?
But
like
maybe he'll develop into that. I don't know.
No, but you can't.
Oh, you can't.
You can't be
you're talking about
6'5".
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah.
And have the arm of a fucking god.
Yeah.
You can't, bro.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess you need the tools to be doing what he's
Brock
doing.
Purdy is, and I love Brock Purdy. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying like I don't like him, but I'm just saying like you have maximized your talent, and there are things that you cannot change ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, unless you're like, and that's the reason why I think people love Drew Brees so much, because he's that. Drew Brees is pretty small.
Yeah.
And he's just.
This is not a bad attempt.
Oh,
if that was a better toss, they could have won there. Look at this. Hold on. If he passes to Jennings to accept like in stride.
Yep, that's all I needed.
That's a touchdown.
Yeah,
oh my God. What the fuck, you fucking lineman? Don't know. Well, anyways, they shouldn't have been in that position anyways. So whatever. And then Ayuk gets in a fucking shouting match because now he's a rich asshole.
So yeah, it's one of those things where it's just like, damn, Matthew Stafford really is like
he's so cool, man.
He's a generational talent. I think he's the youngest. He was like the youngest of the older guard of quarterbacks, and it shows.
Yeah.
He's our guy, he's our generation's guy. He's like our guy. He's such a bro. It's cool to see him play, but I feel like the Niners, man, like I think the wheels are starting to fall off, dude. We've had just long seasons.
1 and 2, not good.
Long seasons, just like big disappointments. The mileage starting to build up. They're already some of them are already injury prone. Debo's already injury prone. CMC's already injury prone. Now you're gonna ask them to play more games.
Yeah.
Maybe this is all some sort of like fucking third eye ploy to just preserve them.
Maybe.
And just make a late season push.
Maybe.
But it's not looking good so far.
Wouldn't you want to secure the record?
You have to beat the Rams.
Wouldn't you want to get the wins early and then rest before the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm talking about.
But
I think they're just injured. I think they're
probably just injured.
I think they're injured. And
it's just you trying to like figure out like what the fuck. Like trying to explain it away.
The upside is the D line looked amazing. I think any other quarterback besides maybe a handful, like Mahomes, Matt Stafford,
dude.
like the veterans, any other quarterback under that pressure today against the Niners would have fucking thrown 4 picks and been sacked like 8 times.
Hey,
like
I want to.
They were relentless. They look good.
Yeah.
They were relentless, but it's just you're dealing with the fucking generational player.
Who do they play next
Jake
week?
Moody misses and Ronnie Bell can't catch, and that's it.
Who do they play next week?
Huh?
The Niners.
I don't know.
Hey, but something I want to I just thought of that we were just watching a Carolina Panthers highlight, and there was Andy Dalton at quarterback.
How did you?
Can we talk about Bryce Young real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right,
So
let's talk about Bryce Young.
So he was obviously benched after week 2.
Yeah.
And I remember watching the 2022 college football. What? Trash.
Ronnie Bell is still trash.
I remember we were watching the 2022. We watched a lot of 2022 college football games together.
Yeah.
And I remember like everyone was like talking about Bryce Young going to the NFL, and you were like, "What are you talking? He's not even going to get drafted." And after you said that, I was like, "That actually makes a lot of sense."
Yeah.
And then when mock draft boards started coming out, he was number 1, and I was like, "What?"
I was absolutely stunned. And don't get me wrong, like I've been following Bryce Young's career since he was in high school at Mater Dei.
Yeah.
He was like the shit. I was very surprised when he committed to Alabama. I was like, damn, Alabama was really sunken into the
like fast quarterback,
the West Coast recruiting pool, like
Oh,
the
that
California
too.
recruiting pool. Now they're getting guys from Hawaii, like Tua,
Yeah.
right? Now they're getting
Yeah.
guys like Bryce Young from
Yeah.
Mater Dei.
Yeah.
Like the fact that USC let a Mater Dei quarterback go to like get away basically, or like Alabama was able to come in and recruit, that is absurd. That would have been
Yeah.
unheard of like not that long ago.
Mhm.
But so he goes to Alabama, he's fucking awesome there. But the fact of the matter is that like, man, he was a small guy, and that's exactly what I was saying. It's one of those things where I was saying
These
it's
are
just
things
like,
that you just cannot change. No matter how good you are 5'10".
and don't get me wrong, it's like there's always those edge cases. There's gonna be a guy who's just a bad motherfucker, like Baker Mayfield.
Yep.
There's gonna be just dudes who are just bad motherfuckers.
But even
like
that guy's
Drew
always
Brees.
built. Like he can take a hit.
But yeah, Bryce Young is slight. He's small. I was just like, and the fact is like, all right, he's drafted at all. That's fine. But I thought it was going to be like a 3rd round, 2nd
Right,
round,
yeah.
3rd round.
Maybe late first. Late first would even be like
if a team's
acceptable.
desperate for a quarterback,
Yeah.
fuck it.
Instead, the Panthers traded away picks that then led to the Bears drafting Caleb Williams, which we'll see if that was a good pick, I guess.
They gave
Still,
away
but
so much value.
so much.
It will go down as the worst trade.
Yeah, when
draft
you
trade.
look at that trade, it's like holy shit.
It's insane.
And you bench the guy after
Let's see.
1 year.
Let's see. Let's look it up. Like,
Well,
there's, like,
include
some
that
images.
receiver who went to the Bears.
Hold on. There's images people have made that are
Okay, yeah. But they leveraged their entire future and used the number 1 overall pick they got in exchange for it on a 5'10" guy who looks like he weighs 160 pounds. Isn't that fucking insane?
Here's what the Bears. So the Bears traded the number 1 overall pick and the number 9 overall pick in 2023
Yes.
to the Panthers.
But next year's one.
And the Bears received DJ Moore, offensive tackle Darnell Wright, cornerback Tyreek Stevenson, quarterback Caleb Williams, who they drafted, right? So they ended up using those picks. A punter, Torrey Taylor, and they have another 2nd round pick next year. Just so the Panthers can draft Bryce Young, 5'9", 180, Bryce Young. I think nerds have invaded the NFL. Nerds have already invaded the NFL discourse. I feel like they've started to invade the NFL's decisions.
Mm-hmm.
To the extent where you think that the game is that skill-based, you're wrong. Making personnel decisions thinking that this is 7-on-7 or in a combine, you're wrong.
Yep.
It's not. This is a very violent, physical-based game that moves very fast and has some of the fastest, strongest human beings on earth. All right? So if you're going to use a number 1 overall pick, sometimes you got to think about like what's a more defensible decision to make. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like draft CJ Stroud. 6'3", 6'4", whatever, Ohio State, blue blood, plays great in big games,
Yep.
has all the physical tools, maybe some tweaking here and there, or draft Bryce Young, who's 1 hit away from never playing again.
Absolutely amazing.
Against one of the worst offensive lines I've ever seen in my entire
Especially
life.
when you see how good CJ Stroud has been so quickly. The Houston went to the playoffs his first year.
Yeah, CJ Stroud's a shit.
Like, come on, you fucking idiots.
But again, but I feel like Tom Brady, there's like this thing that came up recently where he was critical of how people are playing rookie quarterbacks too soon. And I agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, this guy's like 21, 22. You're going to put him with grown fucking men who have been playing this league for years.
Yeah, they don't give him time. They don't give him time to develop and just send him out to the wolves.
Years,
to get feasted upon. And then once you've been fed out to the like you can't go back and like develop because now you have like you're traumatized a little bit.
So that's the thing is like
it's gonna fuck you
I'm
up.
glad they benched him because I think it's the best thing that getting benched right now is the best thing that could possibly be happening to Bryce Young because it's the only thing to counteract the worst thing that could have happened, which was being drafted by the Carolina Panthers.
Yep.
Right? They're a terrible organization, terrible team. So it's probably better, and I feel like I think is honestly the benching seemed now I think about it seemed almost merciful. Like, hey, let's put Andy Dalton in there. He's a veteran. He knows what's going on. He could avoid pressure and not like, like fucking, he could feel pocket pressure and understand how to play with the offensive line that maybe isn't great because he's seen a lot of things.
Seems like there's some turmoil.
Maybe they're just trying to be like, let's preserve his trade value. Let's sort of get him out of trouble. Let's like preserve his confidence. But I think he needs to go somewhere else. He needs to be a backup. Maybe he needs to get built back up. He needs to learn. And then
he needs to have a Sam Darnold
to have a ghost chance in hell, right? He still has all the physical limitations, but like, you put him on the Niners and he's probably all right.
We've seen this before. Dude, Sam Darnold is having a good year with the Vikings so far. And that man was down bad. He played for the Panthers.
Exactly. So I feel like people need to rework the narrative when it comes to like, especially quarterback. All right, you're a D end and you suck. All right, you're probably a bust. But like, right? You're probably just a bust because you can't.
Because that's just one-on-one. Can you beat your guy? Like
exactly.
Yeah.
But quarterback is so structural. It's so institutional to the sense where like, you see Sam Darnold, you see Geno Smith, right? They played on the Jets, and Sam Darnold goes to the Panthers. You know who else played for the Panthers? Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? He plays for the Panthers. Not great. Everyone thinks he's washed.
He plays for LA for 1 week and he looks better.
He lights it up, right? He plays with Sean McVay. He has a fucking offensive-minded coach.
For 1 week.
Knows quarterbacks.
Better preparation.
Now he's at Tampa Bay and he's doing okay. He's doing all right.
Yeah.
Geno Smith, right?
Dude, it's just like it's so clear like how like much organizational basically competence affects your like the Texans when all that shit happened with Watson. They cut their losses very quickly and immediately it was like started to figure out a new plan.
Got D'Amico Ryans in there from the Niners.
And less than 3 years later, they have CJ Stroud. They're going to the playoffs.
They made a great coaching hire with D'Amico Ryans.
They're all-star
for the Texans.
Dude, they're all-star quarterback. Their franchise quarterback basically committed like sex crimes. And they're already back to the playoffs less than 3 years after that.
Well, you got to move on, right? Meanwhile, conversely, right, you got the Browns. Who are like,
exactly,
give me some of that.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take your fucking like you fucking. It's like
you guys
what
ever
are
learn?
you doing?
You guys ever learn, bro?
Do you know why they got rid of it? It's like we can fix him.
You draft Johnny Manziel, and then you just never. You guys just never learn.
Maybe he goes to the Patriots. Maybe it works. Okay, but the Browns do not have the culture to handle that fucking situation.
And to be fair, the only draft pick they've had that was really high that they didn't fuck up was Myles Garrett because he's the D end.
The Browns. Yeah,
because it's just easy to tell if someone's good at the end or not.
Exactly.
It's very, very straightforward calculus.
But
yeah, Bryce Young, man, I think I wish him the best. I'm glad for him that he's out of a bad situation. I feel like everyone knows what it's like to be in a work situation that it feels like you're not being put in positions to be successful. It feels like the institution is dysfunctional. The organization they're in is dysfunctional. That things that should be there are not.
Yeah.
Right.
Sorry, just one more. Do you want to talk about what's going to happen with Tua?
Tua should never play football again in his life.
Yeah,
football should never.
Agree. What do you think he's going? What do you think is going to happen though? That's my question. Because obviously we know.
I think we're not going to know for a long time. I feel like they want to let the story just kind of get forgotten.
The whole year. The whole year,
they might
probably.
Just keep him away. Yeah, just like sort of silently keep him away. Maybe there's a press conference after the season is like, I'm hanging it up. You got to retire. Yeah. He's got to be like Andrew Luck and just sort of, it's just too much, man.
In my mind,
it's really scary.
In my mind, I was thinking like, he's definitely going to play again because of all that money he just got. But if he medically retires, he gets most of it anyways.
Which is probably what's, I think if the NFL is reasonable and they know what they're doing, they're going to orchestrate that situation and be like, hey, man.
Like the NFL's going to pay it probably, not the Dolphins.
Right. Yeah. Someone's paying. Yeah.
Like the NFL, like they
probably have a fund for this.
The NFL will tell the Dolphins to do it, and the Dolphins will be like, "Well, we don't want to pay all that shit," and they'll be like, "Don't worry." Like everyone's going to collectively come together and help this because this PR will hurt all of us.
We're going to chip in because we don't want to see someone.
The Browns will be like, "We'll pay some of it."
We don't want to see someone fucking die on the football field.
Yeah, that's not good for anyone's bottom line.
So they got to get him out. I think
it's really sad though. I was watching this is like not the same but similar. I was watching Oklahoma Tennessee the other night and a guy got brutally injured and as he's getting carted off, he's just absolutely sobbing. And I have never felt like I felt so bad for that guy. Like football's a brutal sport, man. And that kid was probably thinking
Jesus Christ,
that was horrible. We just watched that Florida
Anthony
quarter
Richardson
throw the most obvious pick.
One of the worst picks.
This reminds me of that video I sent you of the.
It's like when you press the wrong button on Madden.
That reminds me of that video I took of Eastern Illinois quarterback, and I sent it to you.
Oh yeah.
But this is the NFL. But I just felt so bad. It's a brutal sport. But the thing is, I feel like when he was crying, part of me was like, this is how he like brings up his family potentially. It's a lot of these guys, and maybe he's a sophomore. He's gonna I need to have a breakout year, so I'm on the draft stock next year. And now that's just like, it just might never be in the cards for him. And it just happens in one moment. It's crazy.
Blink of an eye, it's over.
Anyways,
on that note,
hopefully once Tua retires, he doesn't try to steal money from the state of Florida to fund, I don't know, his niece's volleyball team or something. That's what Brett Favre did with his brain damage. But
I kind of, and then I'll back to the Niners. I kind of just want to see what happens. I feel like you're kind of right, and like they maybe could do that thing where it's like, I feel like there's some teams that had a Super Bowl win that's felt almost like obligatory, where it's like it's about time. Like there was years that you thought they're gonna win, and then they didn't, and then there was the next season where they hung around for a while and then just pushed in the playoffs, right?
Like
so
the
one
Ravens?
of those. Being the Ravens usually have those seasons like all the time, it seems, where they would like come up short.
But pre Lamar Jackson, I don't know.
Oh yeah, so even the Joe Flacco year when like it was Ray Lewis's last ride, like that felt obligatory, right? And they like that run, they just had like a lot of stars aligned.
When the lights went out and people were like, "Where's Ray Lewis?"
And then think about the Broncos, right? They had that year they scored all those points, they got blown out of the Super Bowl.
And then it's like, all right, Peyton Manning needs his before he retires.
A couple years later, they had a couple painful losses, and then like eventually it's like, all right, they kind of like
you gotta give Peyton a send off.
They kind of lived across the finish line, right? Like
man, you know someone who never got a send off though, Cam Newton. There's that one Super Bowl, man. And they never got back.
The Rams got one, Well, because I feel like the thing is like you can tell because there's just organizations that are better.
Yeah, I was gonna say, remember Cam Newton played for the Panthers.
There's organizations that are better run, right? Yeah, the Panthers.
Cam Newton was so good, he took that team to the play.
You always have those teams that were just like flukes, know, where it's just like not flukes, but like one-offs, like the Panthers. Man, that was a great year. I miss Cam Newton. Cam Newton is fucking.
He's cool, man.
Awesome.
He commentates on Auburn football now. Like
because
he still cares about.
I feel
Auburn.
like just people like there was just a lot of hate for Cam, and it could be for a lot of reasons, right? It could be because he was like pretty flashy, because he was handsome. People are probably envious of that.
He was the most obviously.
He was
paid.
handsome and big and cool, and he was in commercials and good at football. He's just an easy guy to hate because he's just so cool.
And then on top of that, the pre NIL, he was like the most obviously paid player ever.
His dad shopped him basically
without there being like evidence.
His dad basically shopped him, which is like, I don't care.
No, I don't care either. But like,
shit, bro.
Well, I think if he's already hateable for the reasons you described, it's like, okay, also you're cheating, right?
Yeah,
like, it's an easy thing to like.
He's cheating and he's like smashing on Alabama and Oregon. Yeah, and shit.
Dude, the Alabama comeback though. Ooh,
I know.
They were down 28-zip or something.
And that was all him, bro.
And that fool was like, "Don't worry, I got this."
Single-handedly beat them.
They were down 4 touchdowns.
There were so many games in the NFL. His rookie season was phenomenal. He threw for 4,000 yards. He rushed for like 800.
Dude, my God, as a quarterback,
as a first year rookie quarterback in the NFL, and it's just the thing is like, of course he didn't play. His play didn't last long. Of course, whatever. He didn't win the big game. It's like again, he played for the Panthers. They're not great. Jimmy Clausen was literally the number 1 overall pick right before him. So the Panthers picked Jimmy Clausen number 1 overall, or number 2, one of those.
What?
And then the next year had the number 1 overall pick and picked Cam Newton. Yeah, they just like.
Well, I guess that's kind of what happened this last year.
And Cam Newton, but like the way that he played, his gifts, like those are not things that are gonna last long.
Dude,
so I hope that people enjoyed it while it lasted, because it was a really good ride. And I feel like it was one of those things where people hold it against him because like whatever stats, etc., whatever. Again, I feel like nerds have like infiltrated the NFL discourse where it's like, you don't understand. Like, watch the game.
Yeah.
See who impacts the game. You can tell. You're like, this motherfucker's going off.
Yeah.
He's getting all these first downs. There's plays that are broken. The pass coverage, the pass protection doesn't hold up.
Yeah.
He gets away. He gets a first down. He makes it happen. He throws this crazy pass. It dazzles you, things you've never seen before. He rushes for 40 yards or some shit. And it's like, oh my God, this guy just can't be stopped. And you see it at other positions, right? It's like, it doesn't matter what their stats are sometimes, right? When you think about like a great player, it's just like, dude, that guy was fucking sick. And you can tell when you see it. And that's why there's players that are suspect, like Michael Thomas, everyone makes fun of because he just catches slant routes all the time. Because if you see it, you're like, oh, that guy's all right.
Yeah.
Versus Matt Stafford again. It's like, I don't know how many fucking yards he threw for today. All I knew was like, this guy is sick. He knows exactly what to do.
It's sad. But do those guys, like, say Matthew Stafford is drafted by the Carolina Panthers, and what happens? Like today's Carolina Panthers, like, does he make it out of that situation because he's that good? Or
he just
what
holds
happens?
up more under the pressure, so he can just take a bigger beat.
Also, he's good, so they would never draft him in the first place.
He probably, he just won't take as much of a beating.
I mean, I think we're a year away from having to tell the Panthers, like, you're not allowed to draft like Cam Ward or whoever it's going to be. Like, don't ruin another man's like life.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like some of these teams just shouldn't
They
be
should
allowed.
not be allowed to draft. I think Cam Ward is going to be like hot shit.
Who's
like,
that?
He's a Miami quarterback.
You think he's going to
He was very good at Washington State, and now he's like on like a team with talent, and he's like fucking shit up.
He's going to the draft this year?
He's got good size. Yeah, he's a junior, so he might be like the person that Carolina Panthers, they like ruined his life.
So you think about that, right? You think about all these great talents that were just wasted, right? So you think of Sam Bradford, you think of Cam Newton to an extent.
Didn't Bradford get like hella injured though, like really bad?
Why did he get injured?
Yeah, true.
Plus, getting fucking lit up.
RG3.
RG3, right? You think of RG3, you think of Andrew Luck. You think of you think of Johnny Manziel to an extent.
Yeah,
he went to the worst possible team.
Man, especially for him, like he was like he needed like a strict structure.
Yeah, he needs to go to the Patriots.
So he basically, exactly. He went to like the worst. He basically went. He was like probably drinking and partying, and he went to a place where they're like, "Yeah, keep doing that."
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You think of who else? You think of
what happened to Vince Young?
You think of Vince Young? He played for. All right, here's the rant. He played for the worst NFL coach in history, that being Jeff Fisher. Jeff Fisher had some success in the late 90s, early 2000s with the Tennessee Titans when Steve McNair was playing there, Eddie George was playing there. They had some really good playoff games against Ray Lewis's Ravens back then. They almost won a Super Bowl 34 against the Rams, the greatest show on turf with Kurt Warner. They're 1 yard short of winning that Super Bowl.
He got wait. The Titans or Vince Young?
The Titans.
Okay.
So I'm explaining why Jeff Fisher was
right. I see. Gotcha.
Was like acclaimed. He was considered a great coach for a long time. He's a fucking
He had
piece of
history with the
shit.
team where he was like a beloved name.
He's a piece of shit. He had a good Super Bowl run. He was 1 yard short. Mike Jones from the Rams made a fucking incredible tackle of Ken Dyson. 1 yard short of winning the game. And that's why Kurt Warner's Super Bowl champion and Steve McNair's not. Rest in peace, Steve McNair.
That was really cool.
So
they're just like, no, he's going in.
So then Jeff Fisher, right? Everyone thinks he's hot shit. And then as a result, the rest of his career was just an arrogant piece of shit. Like, never accepted responsibility for his role in developing young quarterbacks, had a very old school mentality that wasn't just new age, right? So he ruined Vince Young, I think, because he tried to fit him into a box. He tried to turn him into a pro style quarterback. He tried to make him go under center.
It's like, dude, why?
And just didn't change. It's like, no, you need to change, kid who's been playing this way.
That's crazy.
He's like,
why
no.
would you draft him?
That's how the
your
NFL
plan?
used to be, dude. They were just so narrow minded back then. I feel like that's why,
so even if you were clearly good because of these certain reasons in college, they would just make you play a different way.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You know who helped change that trend? Cam Newton. Because it's just like, what?
Right.
It's just like, he's huge. He's not going to get hurt.
Cam Newton, and then
he can rush.
I guess there was RG3. Mariota could kind of run.
Because Michael Vick was the first of his type, but like even when he was playing, they were trying to make him more of a pure passer.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has really broken it up.
That's why he got lucky that he entered the league when he did. Yeah. He was able to flourish
because he was way too like he would have been fucked.
Imagine Vince Young now, dude. Vince Young, when he played in college, dude, he was magic. That's why it's one of those things too. Like, I don't know Vince Young's stats. I just see him play in college, and I was like, this is one of the best football players I've ever seen. Yeah, of any level, dude.
That championship game, Vince Young carried that team on his back.
It was just so
in a national championship game against a team of destiny, of a dynasty,
Yeah.
powerhouse in LA. And that
Yeah.
dude came to the Rose Bowl, essentially a home game for USC, and he did everything on offense.
was
I watched that
crazy.
entire game a month ago.
Oh, really?
I-
Nice.
he did it was
Magic.
crazy,
You
dude.
guys fucking awesome.
What a
dude.
fucking
I love that
badass.
shot too at the end where there's all the confetti and it's just his back and he's like waving up. He's like waving at the audience, the crowd. I was like, dude, this is fucking
Dude,
beautiful.
that Tron to the corner of the end zone.
It's a
is
work of art, honestly.
iconic.
The 2005 Rose Bowl is just like
It's
a
just
work of
the
art.
thing. The thing about that final
Beautiful,
play is he's so
beautiful.
casually like jogs into the end zone.
Exactly.
It's like, how are you doing this
And he was-
with such composure right
like-
now? Do you like? If it was me, I'd like trip on the way there because I was thinking about like how big the moment was.
Some of the players, like, it's one of those things that like old heads would say. Well, like some of the best players
Just
make it seem like that. Like
cold
it's
as
a
ice,
game.
bro.
It's a game.
It's literally
You know
a game to
It's
them.
just like in
It
his
doesn't-
backyard.
they're like, yeah, whatever.
That's why people love Brett Favre so much. Right?
Yeah,
Like, the
he
way
played
they
it like
play
a kid,
It's just like it's just-
basically.
that's why it looked like with Matt Stafford, right? It's just so clever. It's just
Yeah.
so intuitive. Where he's
Matt
just like,
Stafford plays
oh,
like
you're over there. I'm over there.
he
I'm
plays
doing a
like he's in
sidearm.
the middle of a street.
I'm doing a sidearm. Oh, now I'm like doing it this
You know?
angle. Yeah. it's
Like he
tight.
plays like the touchdown is a street pole.
Never change, Matt Stafford.
It's crazy.
We love you. Everyone,
Just imagining Matt
every
Stafford
football
in
player
Georgia,
loves Matt Stafford. I don't even care if he plays for
I
the Rams.
do.
I don't give a shit, bro. I feel like I've distanced myself from the Niners. I feel like it's already over. But yeah, we'll see if they get the obligatory one. Probably not. It's just they're just too old. They're too old, dude. I think last year you could tell they got punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
What time is it?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. It's getting late and yeah.
Shit, it's like 9:30.
Yeah.
All right, good night. Bye.